You are the God of power. You are the God of power. You are the God of power. Hallelujah. You are the God of power. You are the God of power. You are the God of power. Don't go. I just want to share something small, and then we will fellowship, and you will hear what God has to say today in the name of Jesus. Just be patient a little. I'm just about to share something very, very crucial that I feel in my spirit that it is the right time just to share. Yeah, I know many people have been having so many questions, especially pertaining to the issues of the prophetic. In this season and time, we're having all kinds of men of God and women of God, and people are complaining because of all the kind of things that are happening around us, some that are not very, very pleasing. And for the body of Christ, we are answerable, and we need to stand to be counted, because the world is waiting, is groaning, waiting for the true manifestation of the sons of God. And if you be a true son of God somewhere, wherever you are, it is your time to arise and shine, for your light has come. I believe that God has put something in your spirit, in your mind, in your heart, in a season where many have decided to turn away from God and to say there is no God, in a season where many people have decided that they're going to worship other gods, in a season where people will openly say there is no true God, and in a season where people have reached a point of apostasy. It is a time for the sons of God to rise and shine and declare that Christ is the Lord of our salvation, and declare that Christ is a solution to our world. It doesn't matter how many people have chosen all kinds of lifestyles. We, as the people of God, we as the body of Christ, we have a responsibility to arise and shine. We have a responsibility to fulfill our cause, the cause of Christ. We have a responsibility to do that which God has called us to do in this time and season. We have a responsibility just to cause the people to know that truly God is real, that truly God is alive. I know there are many people, because of the hardships and the times and the seasons that we are in, people are desperate. Even those who are in the body of Christ, they are really trying out anything that's coming on their way to try and solve, because of lack of solution. But I'm here just to share a little message and tell you that God is there, God is true, God is alive, God is worthy of be worshipped. I just want to tell you that God is true, God is righteous, God is holy, and He is to call us. He's just calling the sons, the true sons of God, those who know who they are, to arise and shine. It's the time, or there is the groaning. The world is waiting, it's groaning, they're groaning. They want to see the manifestations of the true sons of God. And the people they have been looking up to have disappointed them. The people they have been seeking, thinking that these are the true sons of God, have disappointed them. And they don't know where to turn to. But I'm here to tell you, turn to the Lord, and the true sons of God are alive and they are kicking. The true salvation is here. People who've got life in them, the people who've got the true Spirit of God are here. The people who have got the solution, they are here because Christ is the answer. Christ is the solution for the remaining world in this time and season. So I'm just here to share something very brief, something very, very brief, something very, very brief. Because of the concern that I've had, so many people complain, oh, these prophets, these sons of God, these people who pretend to be believers, oh, these men of God are these men of God are that. I've heard a lot of that, and there's a temptation just to keep quiet and say, well, let them talk, and just they're gonna just, I don't know, probably they're gonna bump into a true believer. But I'm just here to remind you that it didn't just begin now. It is not only now that you can find prophets that are not true prophets. Don't say they're not true. Don't say they're not true prophets, because they are there. And if they are deceptive ones, there are people who you have seen that they are not true, then it means that they are real. They are real. They are true prophets. If they are fake prophets, then they are true prophets of God, servants of God that God has called to serve Him, to represent His kingdom. I was looking at the book of 1 Kings chapter 17. I was looking at the servants of God, Elijah, a true prophet of God in the Old Testament. God, this servant of God is just an amazing, amazing character. When you look at his lifestyle, he was living in the wilderness. I mean, is a true servant of God. He's in the wilderness. He was eating locusts, and he was even being fed by ravens. And now I'm seeing another crop of prophets. I'm seeing another crop of prophets that are being fed from the table of Jezebel and Ahab. They were being fed from the table of Jezebel. So you are seeing there are different kinds of prophets. We are seeing a true servant of God, and there are other prophets, like the prophets that were sitting, feeding from the table of Jezebel. There were prophets of Baal, 450 of them, 450 of them. There are other prophets, 400 of Asherah. Prophets, false prophets. I mean, prophets, they're called prophets, meaning they were prophets from the beginning. But now we can see they are being fed by Jezebel. They are being fed from the table of Jezebel. They are eating all the delicacies. They're enjoying everything that the world can offer. They're enjoying the best that the top de la creme can give. I mean, they're having it. They're having the life. They're feeding from the table of Jezebel. They're getting all the delicacies. Their appetites are high. They're getting the power. They're sitting in places of power. I mean, this is amazing. These prophets are sitting from the table in the high table. They're getting the best. Oh, they're being fed from, they cannot speak against Jezebel because, she's feeding them. It's very hard for them to correct her or give her a true message, because now they're feeding from her table. They're feeding from her table. They're eating breakfast, they're eating lunch, they're eating dinner. I mean, they're just getting everything that they need. So they're seated, they're eating. And I'm also seeing there's the Elijah here. He's being fed by ravens. He is eating what God provides for him. He's feeding from the Lord. He's feeding from the word of God, and God is providing for him. I mean, he's eating only what God gives to him. He's eating only when the Lord provides for him. He's not having all the good time that you may imagine, because he's feeding only when he is provided for. But these prophets of that are seated at the table of Jezebel, that is prophets of Baal and prophets of Asherah, they're eating anything they want, when they want, how they want it. And their appetites are full. I mean, they are just getting what they want. They are just receiving everything. They are in the high places. And these prophets are in deception. They are already now in deception. They stopped feeding from the table of the Lord. They stopped being fed by the Lord. They started being fed by Jezebel. And therefore, and deception has entered into their spirits now. And they are imagining that they are the only true prophet, that they are the only prophets that are alive. They imagine that they are the only prophets. They don't know God has some prophets at the backside of the desert. Elijah is there. And Elijah reaches a point and is fed up and decides to call because Jezebel now is after him, and he has hid in the caves. He has hid away from her. He has been afraid for his life, but it reaches a point, and he decides now we choose. I mean, we want to know who the true God is. We want to know who the true God is, and sends for he says Obadiah. He sends Obadiah and tells him, go tell your king that I'm here. And he says, I'm gonna appear myself. I'm just gonna show up and tell them this is who I am. And I want them to come over to the mountain. I want them to come over to the mountain. Hmm? This you can see this in First Kings chapter 18. So Obadiah we went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. When he saw Elijah, he said, "Is that you, troubler of Israel? I have not made trouble for Israel." Elijah replied, "But you and your father's family have you abandoned the Lord's commands and have followed the Baals." You see, Elijah is talking to Ahab here because they want to kill him. They want to eliminate him. They want him out of the way. They want him not to appear anywhere. And now he says, "Now summon the people from all over Israel to meet me on Mount Carmel and bring the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table." Look at that. He is quick to mention where these prophets are feeding from. So Ahab sent word throughout all Israel and assembled the prophets on Mount Carmel. Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you waver between the two opinions?" This is a true prophet of God. It reaches a point and he's tired, he's fed up, he's not going to run away anymore. He would just want to know who is the true God. Because these people, they're worshiping other idols. These are prophets, not prophets of Baal. Hmm? How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him. But the people said nothing. And Elijah said to them, I am the only one of the Lord's prophets left. But Baal has 450 prophets. Look, Baal has 450 prophets. Get two bulls for us. Let them choose one from themselves and let them cut into pieces and put it on the wood, but not set fire to it. I will prepare the other bull and put it on the wood, but not set fire to it. Then you call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord, the God who answers by fire. He is God. He gave them a very serious test, and he is fed up. I mean, he's just like, you people, you're worshiping Baal, and you're so many of you, you're 400 of you. I am just here myself. I'm serving a true God. But you guys have chosen, there are many of you, but you have chosen to worship an idol. So I want you people today to know, we want all of us to know who is worshiping the true God. I mean, who is God? I mean, between Baal and God, who is the true God? That is a true servant of God. That's a true prophet of God. Then he called on the name of Baal. These people now, they have been given a chance. They have been given a bull to slaughter. They have been given the first priority so that the sacrifice can quickly be accepted by their idol. But